How's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. Sorry, I'm running a little late here. Bear with me while I get my camera set up. All right. Okay. Welcome back to yet another live stream. Today we're doing something a little different. I don't like this angle. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to see if I could do like that, maybe. How's that? It's from the chair's perspective. Look at that. Get some camera angles going. Dope. All right, so that's not perfect, but it's not bad. All right. Not loving the camera angle. All right. I'm gonna have to cut this part out. All right, guys. Welcome back to yet another live stream. Sorry for the weird camera angle. I'm trying to do this in a comfortable position because I'm gonna be sitting for a little bit. Welcome back to the Bored Cyborg. Today we are going to take a look at movies. What do you know? Movies. Movies and more movies. So, long story short, at the game shop that I currently work at, I am the assistant manager there. It's currently under new ownership. And so he entrusted me with trying to build out a DVD selection, a DVD section that could hopefully become profitable for the store. And obviously he thought I was the right man for that. I appreciated that, and I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. You know, and I was a little anxious about it, if I'm being honest, a little nervous about it, because it's on me. I have responsibility, and I need to make it happen. And so, with that said, over the last couple weeks, we've sold a ton of DVDs. We're doing really well with it. I brought in like a bunch of stuff that I had from my collection that I no longer wanted. What's up, Jolly Good? Thank you for tuning in. That I no longer wanted, and a lot of those have been selling through. In the first week of us trading movies again, somebody brought in a huge lot of TV shows, Blu-rays, a lot of popular stuff. Good stuff, not stuff that I was interested in personally, but obviously for the store, definitely. So we paid out for that, and we, you know, you could sell movies to the shop, and it's called Play and Trade here in Garner, North Carolina. And so I put them all out. I'm going to do a tour of the shop soon and show you guys the video game shop, as well as the little DVD section. We're doing board games and stuffed animals and all sorts of video game related and movie related nerd stuff. So it's really fun. With that said, that initial big lot that I just told you about that came in the first week had, I want to say, about 30 Criterion, maybe 25. I ended up buying a lot of them, a lot of them. And let me just say, I got them at an impossibly good price because of the graciousness of the owner, my friend Billy, who I work for. And so I got all these for, I don't even want to say how much, but he cut me a good deal on them. And with that said, we're going to take a look at all of the Criterion stuff that I picked up. It's all Blu-ray. I'm excited to look through some of them. We have a few other knickknacks, a couple things that I got just today out thrifting. I'm going to do a little short on this one coming up, but I thought I'd share it with you guys before I published the short. Then we have two packages, and we have the Criterion stuff. And then if there's time, I'm thinking of going for like an hour or two today. If there's time, I want to talk about my week in horror. I want to start trying to do this maybe as a second live stream. Talk about the movies that I've seen in the past week, what I liked about them, what I didn't like, give a star rating, and give my recommendations to you guys, because I know you guys are always looking for new films to find. Now, with that said, we're going to do the least exciting things first, and that's a couple things I picked up today at a thrift shop. First things first, I watched Scary Movie 2 last night, and so I guess I was primed to pick this up. I have most of these really shitty parody movies that came out in the aughts that were, like, for example, from 2 of the 6 writers of Scary Movie, this one says here. These are not great, but in a time, you know, we just had the big movie Naked Gun come out, which hopefully is going to rejuvenate the parody genre, which we desperately need. And I think the parody genre, as opposed to irreverent and offensive humor, is a better vehicle to get us back on track with a humor in this country, frankly. Because parody, everybody understands what a parody is. So you can make fun of anything. As long as it's funny, people are going to laugh, people are going to like it. These are definitely more irreverent, which is part of its era, and which is why I enjoy going back and watching these. This is from '06, so this is going to have all the offensive jokes, all that kind of stuff that I do find refreshing in today's age. You know, this was an era where I felt, you know, personally, living through it, like we all kind of were over race. We didn't really talk about race very much. We didn't talk about, you know, gender or skin color or anything like that. And everybody got made fun of in these types of movies. So I enjoy it for that. They are over the top and ridiculous. That's why I like them. And same thing goes for this one here. David Zucker directs his last film, the film that put a nail in the coffin of his career, was An American Carol. And An American Carol, I can't say I know too much about, but it's David Zucker. It's got quite the cast. Even just on the front here, it says, yeah, the director of Naked Gun, Airplane, Scary Movie 3 and 4, obviously. Kevin Farley, Kelsey Grammer, Leslie Nielsen, Trace Adkins, Dennis Hopper, James Woods, Robert Davi, Jeffrey Arend, David Alan Grier, and John Voight. So that is a very interesting cast, I will just say. And yeah, very controversial film. Supposed to be super offensive, politically incorrect, etc., etc. Therefore, I need to check it out. This always reminds me of Postal, at least by the way it looks, with its over-the-top sort of caricatures and whatnot. But yeah, so Date Movie and An American Carol. I picked those up at Cause for Pause today. This one I got in the mail, and I mistakenly opened it up. I should have waited to open it up for a live stream, but I didn't. You know, it is what it is. I'll show it to you guys here. Here we have Very Bad Things. I got this on an auction for, I think it ended up being like $7 after shipping. And I got rid of my DVDs. I sold it actually to the store. And I'm doing consignment at the shop. So any movies that I bring in, I get a large percentage of, and the owner gets a small percentage of. That's how consignment works. It's kind of like, he knows I know what will sell when it comes to movies, so he's allowing me to do that. So I'll make a few bucks on just, you know, any movies that I think will move that eventually move. So it incentivizes me to find good stuff and bring it, which is part of the deal. And Very Bad Things is a movie that I really want to watch again. I really enjoy this dark comedy. It's got a really interesting cast. I really bought this for Daniel Stern. I was having a little bit of a Daniel Stern kick. I rewatched Bushwhacked, which actually holds up remarkably well. I was thrilled to see that movie holds up because I loved that movie growing up. And I always had a feeling that it was probably not great. But it's one of those 90s movies that just, you know, can't be made today. It's about like a criminal, well, not a criminal, but a petty criminal, we'll say, who takes control of like a Cub Scout group or whatever and leads them through the forest, but he's trying to get away from some guys that are trying to kill him because he was mistaken. Anyway, he's a petty criminal, gets caught up in stuff, he's on the lam, and he finds this troop and he leads them through the woods, and it's so funny because he's from the city, he has no idea what he's doing, but the kids think he does. They learn from each other. It's a really fun movie for adults and kids. I loved it as a kid, still love it as an adult, and Daniel Stern's physical comedy is unrivaled. It is unmatched. He is just so fantastic. I'll say it's unmatched in the 90s. There was nobody else doing physical comedy besides Jim Carrey, who kind of stands alone. But Daniel Stern was excellent in that type of comedy, and he's in this movie. So I'm talking about Bushwhacked here. But this is a dark comedy about a guy who's getting married. He's got a bachelor party, and things just progressively get worse and more out of control, untenable, and out of hand as these characters try to manage it and patch things up. And every time they do so, it just seems to get worse and worse. It's a comedy of errors, but a very dark, black comedy of errors. And that's what makes it unique. But just an idea of the cast here, Peter Berg. Peter Berg directs this film, actually. He's still a Hollywood director to this day. doing movies with Mark Wahlberg, most famously, probably. He did, what was the one I really liked? Patriots Day, Mile 22, stuff like that, Deepwater Horizon. And, let me pump it up a little bit. There we go. And so, yeah, Christian Slater is the lead in this. Cameron Diaz is in this as the woman he's marrying, if I remember correctly. Daniel Stern, Jean Triplehorn, Jon Favreau, Jeremy Piven, Leland Orser. So, like, Jon Favreau, Jeremy Piven, Orser, Daniel Stern, and Christian Slater make up the team, the main cast of characters here that get into all the hijinks. And there's death, there's violence, there's over-the-top, all sorts of things. On the back here it says, strong, grisly violence, sexuality, drug use, and language. It's a good movie. I plan to check it out. It's a good movie strictly because of all those things. No. I plan to rewatch it very soon. So, next up, again, I'm going to be doing a short on this because it was just so weird to find out in the wild. But check this out. And I still haven't looked it up. This is what looks to be some sort of incredibly low-budget, no-budget, independent film called Radioactive Skunk. And it looks like a monster flick. I mean, that's what it looks like. If it's not, and it's like a Christian evangelical DVD or something, I will be upset. But I don't know. I have a feeling this is like a weird trauma-inspired independent film. Who knows? Maybe it was shot in Raleigh. It's Radioactive Skunk. It says there on the bind. I love finding stuff like this in the wild. And on the back, it says, if you thought killer raccoon fish was something... Let me repeat that. If you thought killer raccoon fish was something, this one is a real stinker. So this apparently is a sequel to a film called Killer Raccoon Fish. So if anybody knows anything about these movies, they're not on Letterboxd. I did a cursory search on Letterboxd, nothing. I'm going to look into Google. Maybe I have to dig into ChatGPT for this bad boy because what the fuck is this? There is nothing on it. Not a barcode, not a director. Oh, postermywall.com. I wonder what that is. I see a little website here on the bottom. That could be my only clue as to figure out what the hell this is. Sounds like it has something more than the DVD in there. You know what? Yeah, I don't want to open it yet because what if this is worth like $1,000? I don't know. I'd love to do a live unboxing. Maybe I could look it up with you guys live, and then we could maybe crack it open together. That would be fun. So, let's see. We don't have too many people in here right now. What's up, Mr. Ralph Rosa? I've got two things on the docket today. I'm going to ask you guys, I know there's not many people in here, but whatever you guys think, I'll do first. Do you guys want to go over the movies I watched, the horror movies I watched in the last week, which is far too many, and kind of give reviews on those? Or do you want me to go over the Criterion Blu-ray pickup, as well as the two packages I've received? What do you guys think? I know Jolly Good, you're in there, and Ralph Rosa. What do you guys think? Which one do you want to see first? Let me know. Let me know. You know. What's up, Lucy? Hey, Lucy, I just asked a question to the chat. Would you like to see the Blu-ray Criterion pickup first? Or would you like to see My Week in Horror? The watched movies, says Rosa. Okay, we're going to await one more vote. Unless it's... don't worry, guys. I'm not smoking or anything. I'm lighting some sage here to fill the time while you guys make a decision. So we've got one for watched movies. And let's see. What do you guys think? What do you think, Lucy? What do you want to see? The movies I've watched this week, or you want to see that Criterion pickup? I'm going to have to make an executive decision in a second. Just in the sake of dead air. We don't want any dead air. I hate playing with fire. No, I love it. I've been playing with fireworks since I was a kid. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I don't recommend that, by the way. The 90s were a crazy time. All right, so we're going to go with what Mr. Ralph Rosa said, since we have no other votes coming in. We're going to go with the movies I've watched this week. Just this week. And there are three that I watched, was it two that I watched on streaming, and I'll talk about those first just to get them out of the way. And then I have right next to me the order of movies that I watched. I have the movies I watched over the last week in the order I watched them. Wait, did I see... No, I saw 3 movies on streaming, so we'll talk about those now. The first movie I watched was A Woman in the Yard. A Woman in the Yard, The Woman in the Yard, whatever variation it is, by Jaume Collet Serra. Jaume Collet Serra, or Coget Serra. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. The guy who did a bunch of movies with Liam Neeson, Run All Night, Nobody. I'm sorry, Run All Night, Unknown, a couple others. And this was his dipping his toes back into horror. He did, what was the film? Didn't he do House of Wax back in the day? That was a pretty good horror flick. Well, Woman in the Yard is not too great. It follows a family. The first half is actually a lot better than the second half, I'll say. Follows a family who is grieving after the loss of the father and husband. And a woman appears in the yard, sitting in a creepy-ass chair. A creepy-ass woman. My favorite parts of the movie are those moments. The first half hour or so where they are trying to communicate with this creepy woman sitting in a black veiled outfit on this creepy old chair, almost as if she's come from another point in time. But those were the creepy moments where the mother is trying to, the mother's injured from a car accident that killed the husband, and so she's limping around. She's got a son who's the eldest and a daughter, and she's trying to communicate with this thing, figure out what the hell's going on, but what they notice is that this thing is getting a little bit closer. It's very Stephen King-like in its structure and setup. And so this is where things get weird. I was paying very close attention, like I always do, to movies or books or whatever I'm reading or watching. I swear to you, I am not quite sure what the hell the story was, what they were trying to tell. I understand what it is I get what they were trying to go for. It was just such a convoluted way of telling the story. I don't want to give away too much because there are a few little twists, but turns out the accident that they got in, there was more to it, that the mother wasn't telling the kids, and this thing from somewhere is torturing her and able to physically, this ghost-like entity is able to physically interact with them and harm them. And yeah, I wish I could say more about it without spoiling it, but again, I'm not exactly sure what I would be spoiling. I don't pride myself in not understanding a movie, especially just a stupid horror movie that went to theaters. I really was paying attention, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Where are the story beats where's any sort of exposition, whether it's visual or oral? I didn't get anything from A Woman in the Yard. I ended up giving it a 2 to 2.5. I liked the first half, or the first half hour, really. The atmosphere was good. I liked some of the music. I thought the acting was fine. The characters were rather bland, but I liked the acting. It was okay. Wish the characters were written a bit better. But yeah, Woman in the Yard wasn't really for me. Wasn't really my thing. So I'm kind of with the rest of people on this one. Not very impressive. Next up, I watched a film called Double Blind. Now this was more my speed. Very low tech, low budget horror thriller that takes place in a medical facility that is testing a new drug on some, we'll say, unwitting participants. They know what they're doing. They've signed up for this drug testing thing, but they don't know what they're in store for, essentially. And what ends up happening is people take this drug and they're unable to fall asleep. And when the first person does end up falling asleep, they die. They're killed. So it's a slasher film, in essence, of a bunch of kids who were just in it for some quick cash, getting into this medical facility, and a quarantine breaks out once one of the people dies. So they lock everything down and the kids cannot get out. So it's effectively a slasher film, but the killer is this experimental drug. It's pretty unique, I think. I think it's pretty unique. And the gimmick is that you can't fall asleep. If you fall asleep, you bleed through your eyes, your nose, your mouth, you're dead. You're fucking dead. And I thought it was a pretty cool concept. The acting was good. I liked the main girl. She definitely carried the film on her back. The final, I'll call her the final girl because she truly is. I really liked her quite a bit. Some of the supporting actors were good, if not a little cliche. There was a couple small twists and turns there. Some creepy imagery for sure that was economical in its approach. Decent effects when they're there. When they're there, they're good. Practical effects. There's no CG from what I remember. So Double Blind was really good. I want to say that was from, I don't have them in front of me or the years or anything, but Double Blind was from a couple years ago. I want to say like in the last 2 or 3, 2023, something like that. So I really enjoyed that one. I can recommend that one to you guys if you want a modern, almost minimalistic 70s style, unique slasher. I would say definitely check out Double Blind. It was worth a watch. I would be glad to own it in the collection. It would be worthy. All right, so next up, I watched a film called... Actually, let's take a moment and greet the chat. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Right now, I'm going over the movies I watched over the last week. I've been getting really into the horror mood, and I've been trying to watch like 1 or 2 a night. I've been up rather late because of my new schedule, so I've been watching a couple movies at night, and I'm going over those now. I'm at the 3rd and final film that I watched via streaming. Everything else I watched on physical media here, so we'll go through those. The 3rd film is a film called Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil came out last year with James McAvoy, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie, what's her name? Mackenzie Davis? Or Mackenzie Grace? The one from Terminator Dark Fate, the only part of that movie that I liked. They're all in this movie. It was a big movie last year. It made a lot of waves in the horror realm. A lot of people seem to like it. It's a thriller horror film for sure. Humanistic thriller horror film. No supernatural elements or anything like that. So I really enjoyed this movie. I liked it. I thought it was very good. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I'll say Double Blind I gave a 3 out of 5. And Woman in the Yard I gave a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 0. Speak No Evil. Sorry if I conflate it with Don't Blink. For some reason those titles. Anyway, See No Evil stars James McAvoy in an absolute powerhouse performance. James McAvoy is the reason to see this film. If it wasn't for him, this movie would have been more of a 2.5 or a 3 for me because of some of the incredibly cringeworthy, feel-it-in-your-gut decisions that some of these characters make. We all suspend our disbelief when we're watching a horror film. But I also think we have that, a lot of horror fans have that instinct of when something is just too hard to buy. A decision that's made by a character, etc. There are at least 2 decisions in this film made by the main characters that could just made me go, ugh, okay, come on, this is ridiculous. You could have done better than this. And they could have. The setup is a family is vacationing in Europe with their daughter. A very, we'll say, uptight, probably, New York City type of family, liberal family. They're vacationing in Europe with their daughter, and they meet this really outgoing, almost eccentric couple with more conservative values. The politics are pretty heavy-handed in this, which is part of the reason why it's not a higher score. Because there is, like the liberal characters wear blue, James McAvoy's character wears red. It's, kind of about masculinity, the crisis of masculinity that we find ourselves in here in the West and in America. It's not unlike we did in the 70s, actually. There was a lot of those kinds of films in the 70s, which I think we're going through another 70s here, and I think next decade will really reflect that. Movies like Stray Dogs back in the day, things like that. Masculinity and crisis. This is definitely one of those types of films, but it takes a more negative view of masculinity as opposed to the 70s. I think it was a little bit more balanced, but this movie, enough about the cultural stuff, but this movie, James McAvoy plays this overprotective father. Like I said, very conservative in values, believes in discipline, those kinds of things, and is jacked beyond belief, imposingly so, intimidatingly so. There's a scene where they jump off a cliff and into some water, And he takes off his shirt, and he's just fucking jacked. I was like, holy shit. And it actually, what this movie is about is this family, led by James McAvoy, taking this American family into their homes and letting them stay for a few days, while this uptight family kind of lets loose a little bit, but there's immediate friction. Like, the wife doesn't get along. She's a vegan, and she doesn't get along with the hunting James McAvoy's character, etc. So there's all these frictions, all these disagreements, and weird things happen that cause the family to for red flags to go up, but they still make stupid decisions and don't leave. The last half of this film is fantastic. It really is satisfying. It brings the audience exactly what the audience wants at that point, because watching James McAvoy chew the scenery, and you grow to love to hate that character, and you want to see his comeuppance, and it really has a great payoff. So there's just this underlying dark humor element to most serious horror films these days, which I think is almost a nod to the audience saying, we know this is a horror film. We know it's harder to suspend your disbelief these days. This film has it. There's a particular scene that is incredibly tense, but it's played against the dichotomy of, what if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe? It's this long 5-10 minute scene of Cotton Eye Joe and the kids doing a dance number, and James McAvoy is like, come on, son, you can do better than that. Yeah, he's got an English accent, so he says it like this, but you get my point. James McAvoy, again, is the reason to watch this film. Scoot McNairy and Mackenzie Grace, or Davis, whatever her name is they're excellent too. They're two sides of the coin in this film. The weak, uptight people that have a lot to learn, and the compensating masculine James McAvoy character, who is an absolute psychopath. Once you see what these guys have been doing, it is chilling. I mean, you could probably extrapolate and figure out what they're doing, but it's something. It's creepy. So, hold on. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure my phone is charging. It is a good movie. It's got great moments, and like I said, the last half hour or so really goes a long way and has a good ending. So, with that said, folks, we're going to move on to the stuff that I watched that is in this pile here. All right, so I watched a film by Jaume Balaguero, the Spanish filmmaker from Spain. And it's a film called Sleep Tight, which I would not mind having on DVD or on Blu-ray. But here we have the DVD. This is, like I said, a Spanish film from Spain. It follows a simple seeming character that works at this little kind of hotel, or this, I don't know, it's kind of like an apartment building of some kind. And he's the head, the desk jock or whatever. And he is spying on, stalking, in the most creepy way possible, this young woman that lives in one of these apartments. Now, he is, how do you say? He's completely infatuated and obsessed with her. In the first 15 minutes, you find it shows him under a bed, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And it turns out that he hides in her apartment while she's home, while she's doing all of her nightly things, and then she gets into bed while he's under the bed, hidden. This is why you got to check under your bed every night. That's why I don't have an under the bed. I just have a mattress on the floor. There's no under the bed. Strategic. He hides under her bed while she's sleeping. He then sedates her and fucks around with her. That's all I'll say. I don't want to say much else. It's creepy. It's stalky. It's humanistic horror. It's very well done. It's a very tense movie. Jaume Balaguero was one of the co-directors of REC, R-E-C, Record, and the whole, quadrilogy, really. They worked together on the first two, and then they traded off 3 and 4. I think Balaguero did 4. And they've done a couple other horror films that I really enjoy. They're good filmmakers, great Spanish filmmakers, and this is no exception. Balaguero directs the hell out of this. It's a very tight, tense, taut film. Atmospheric, hazy, lots of earthy tones. Really, really good film that will keep you on the edge of your seat because the vessel for the audience is this creepy, incredibly creepy, immoral, evil psychopath. But you get to see him in his everyday and his process of, going into the woman's room, drugging her, fucking around with her, and then leaving. And she doesn't know. And he's doing this every night. And she doesn't know why she's waking up feeling groggy because of the sedation. And she's talking to him saying, yeah, I feel like shit lately. Little does she know that he is the one that's doing this. It's really fucked up. I recommend it. See you, jolly good. I'll see you on the next live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, Mr. Ralph Rosa. Sleep Tight is creepy and interesting. That is for sure. Next up, yeah, believe that's me. Here we have Ticks. I was in the mood after Sleep Tight, I was in the mood for a bit of a more lighthearted horror film. So I threw in Ticks, which is on eBay right now. I'm selling my DVD. I'm trying to get around 40 right now. I'm not sure if that'll happen, but I'll be happy with 30 because the Blu-ray 4K goes for 30 bucks now. And there was a time where this went for a lot more. But I got this from my buddy Steve. I am very grateful, but I want to sell it off so that I can get the Blu-ray, because that's or the 4K, honestly, which has the Blu-ray. Ticks, Mr. Ralph Rosa, is awesome. Ticks is a fantastic film. Rosalind Allen, Seth Green, what's his name? Carlton from Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton from Fresh Prince, who plays like this little gangster kind of character from the 90s. This movie came out in 93. Great practical effects of these giant ticks that burrow their way into their hosts, and just like a regular tick does, but these things are, handheld size. They're gigantic, as you can see on the back there. And yeah, it's a creature feature. It's got great practical effects. One of my favorite characters from the 90s is in this, and in Clint Howard, who is just this like unwitting country bumpkin character who becomes infested with these ticks, and every time we see him on screen, his situation just gets worse and worse exponentially, to the point where he's this like giant tick monster. It's fucking awesome. Clint Howard from Evil Speak, Ron Howard's younger brother, the great character actor, Ice Cream Man. He's in a lot of great genre films. But this one, Seth Green's awesome in this as the lead role. These kids are from the inner city. They're going on a camping trip in the middle of the woods. I think we're ripe for this kind of movie now in the technological era. I have a couple ideas that I want to write out. A group of kids from the inner city go into the woods, get more than they bargained for, of course, with these giant ticks, and Seth Green and company have to save the day and avoid getting killed off by these things. It's a horror comedy for sure. It knows exactly what it's doing. Directed by Tony Randall, who directed, I believe, Hellraiser 2. You can't go wrong with Ticks, guys. It's an amazing movie. The Blu-ray is around 30 bucks right now, but the DVD is around 30 to 40. So next up, we have a movie that a lot of people hated, and I always had a feeling I would enjoy it, because I enjoy these, how do I say, these teeny bopper horror films from the last 10, 15 years or so. I get in the mood for them, even like the PG-13 ones, the technology-based ones. I think they're a lot of times so bad they're good. This is no exception. This is not a great movie, but it was an entertaining movie and a fun movie, and I was hooked throughout, if I'm being honest with you. It's ridiculous. There were some parts where I just laughed out loud because of its ridiculous editing and some of the song choices, and it's just so much fun. I kind of wish I was watching it with people. It's one of those types of films. And I did watch the unrated cut. I'm not sure how much longer that is. Sorry, trying to find out here. Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer that is. It doesn't even say on the back, but I watched the director's cut of Wish Upon. Wish Upon is a fun movie with a simple gimmick. Little girl finds this puzzle box that her dad finds. He like digs through trash or whatever. They're poor. His dad finds this box, gives it to his daughter. The daughter wishes one night that she could be, the most popular girl in school, etc. Those kinds of things. And of course, it's a monkey's paw kind of situation. The box does its magic, unbeknownst to her at first. And she's just like, why did my wish come true? She's kind of confused by it. But then she realizes that the box does something when she makes a wish. It opens and plays a song, and then by the end of the song, the person that she wished upon, or the thing that she wished upon, somebody dies. Somebody that she cares about, somebody that she knows dies upon with every wish she makes. So it's almost like The Box by Richard Matheson. It's really a play on that old story, the Button, I should say. I'm sorry, The Button. Button by Richard Matheson, which is about a couple who every time they push a button they make money, but somebody dies that they don't know. This is actually every time you make a wish, somebody dies that you do know. And they die in some really clever way and some cool ways. I thought the kills were fine, the effects were fine, and not much gore or anything like that. Yeah, I wish I had a box like that. Well, like I said, it's like one of those be careful what you wish for kind of movies. So, and it has a very obvious metaphor, allegory, life lesson going through it. At the end of this movie, you know, she's no happier than she was in the beginning. No, actually, she was happier in the beginning of the movie than she is at the end of this movie with all the stuff. And, yeah, it's a fun movie. I liked it. What can I say? It's a fun little teeny bopper, PG-13 type of horror flick. And it's directed by John Leonetti. You want to know what else John Leonetti did? And this was another indicator as to why I thought I'd like it. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. So one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but one of the most entertaining, like, bad to entertaining, the ratio, I'm not sure if I've seen many films higher. It's so entertaining, but it is so cringy and bad. So you can't go wrong with that. John Leonetti has edited a bunch of films, but he also directed a few, and Wish Upon was one of his later. So here we go with a film I mentioned earlier. We have Rec 3. I had never seen Rec 3, and I didn't know what to expect. It's called Rec 3 Genesis. And honestly, yes, the last half hour with really hot chick with a chainsaw is the reason to watch this film. It is pretty cool. It could have been a little better, but there's plenty of gore over the top. And like I said, she's just so fine. Watching her with a chainsaw, I could do that for hours. That sounds really bad. I'm going to move on. Paco Plaza is the one who directed this one. So Jaime Balaguero did Número 4. And this movie, it was nice and short, right to the point. But I thought it was a found footage film. It's not a found footage film. I'm not sure if the fourth one is at this point. The first two are some of the best found footage films ever made. And then they kind of trick the audience, actually. The first 15 minutes is a found footage film. It's a little like somebody's shooting a wedding, you know, and things break out. There's an outbreak that happens, and it starts spreading throughout the... And that was awesome. I was hoping to see the whole movie in found footage style. But then after the main title sequence, it's a regular narrative film. And to be honest, it's kind of drab and generic. And a little boring. I gotta be honest, during the middle part of this film. But like I said, the last half we get to see some awesome gore, practical gore, some of that iconic and emblematic frenetic action, that kinetic energy that Paco Plaza and Balaguero employ or deploy in Rec 1 and 2. I love those two movies so much. This one's okay. Not really any great characters or anything to speak of. They all kind of act the same, look the same. They're just kind of generic. Nothing that stands out, except for the main girl. You know, by the end, her mascara's running. She's, like, soaking wet from sweat. It's raining. She's got this chainsaw bloodied up from head to toe. That's the imagery that I enjoyed in this movie. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It wasn't terrible. By the way, Wish Upon, I gave a 3 out of 5. It's probably a 2. It's probably a 2. But I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll move it down to a 2.5. Next, we have a Ben Wheatley film. I knocked another Ben Wheatley film off the watch list. There's only a few others of his that I would like to see. This one was really interesting, like all of his films are. He did Kill List, most interestingly for me. I like Kill List quite a bit. He did Free Fire, wasn't a huge fan on that one. He did Meg 2, which was his Hollywood, foray, which I loved. I thought Meg 2 was a great big-budget B-movie disaster. I loved it. I had a great time with that one. Much more than the first one, that's for sure. Much more entertaining. And here we have In the Earth. I love the title. I love the cover. I saw some, runic symbols there. And Ben Wheatley has dealt with runic symbols before and cult-like thematic or themes and things like that. this is no exception, but he also weaves some really cool science fiction. Now, I'm into a subject I was years ago, I need to brush up on it again, called mycology. Mycology is the study of mushrooms and fungus. I learned things like 60% of the soil is mycelial. Mycelial is another word for fungus. You have these mycelial networks that are all underground in the soil. Like I said, the big percentage of the soil is mycelial, refuse and detritus and living matter. And there are these networks that are not unlike brains that kind of spread throughout, especially in forests. They have what's called a mycorrhizal, myco for mushroom and rhizal for trees, I'm pretty sure, mycorrhizal relationship, where the mycorrhizal network, I'm sorry, the mycelial network, the mushroom, the fungus network underneath the ground, sends nutrients to trees, but also takes nutrients and spreads them, and it's this big network of taking and spreading nutrients to trees to feed them. So it's essentially as if this giant, these are living creatures, living beings, fungus, and just like a tree would be. Creatures, maybe not the right word, but you get my point. And the idea is that it's like the brain of the forest, right? It's almost like the trees are its slaves, in a sense. The trees rely on this mycorrhizal network, and most trees do. So that's a brief description of that. Now, he's able to sci-fi that in a horror story here, and tell a really cool story about two scientists from, one's more of a rugged sort of individual, like out in the woods herself, and one's from the city, you know, sneezes when he's in the woods, is uncomfortable in the woods, etc. And they're trying to figure out what's going on with this plague that outbroke, within the last couple weeks. And so they're trying to find a cure for it. They go to this forest where they know this giant living being, this giant mycelial network, mycorrhizal relationship network, is under their feet. And this mushroom god, almost, there's a character in this that's very cult-like and almost worships these mushroom entities, this mycelial network, like it's a god, because he claims it's doing things that are far beyond the understanding of humans, like controlling people, and I won't say too much, but it's really a cool flick. I don't think it's a great flick. I think it's a cool flick with really good themes. I think I need to watch it again, and I bet you I would bump it up a half star. The acting was good. I thought it was fine. I really enjoyed, more than anything, the story that involved the mycelial networks. I thought that was very cool. This sort of horror sci-fi, I would say, story, how it unfolds. There's some really good elements. I love the last shot, the last line. I think it's really cool. Honestly, now that I'm talking about it, I think I'm going to raise it from a 3 to a 3.5, because I really enjoyed In the Earth for what it was. And yeah, definitely want to rewatch that one at some point, because it does mess with your mind a little bit. And if you know anything about the mushrooms, it adds a little bit more to it. It's very psychedelic at points. And I have actually written stories about the connection between psychedelics and cult rituals and things like that, because psychedelics are more accepted in our culture now, and I think there's a lot to explore there. I have one about a cult with like Cthulhu-like gods and a baby being born. Really like weird stuff. I still need to get that out and make the movie, but one of these days. But next up, we have another Spanish language film. This one, however, is from Argentina, so it's an Argentine film, Argentine, and it's by Adrian Garcia Bogliano. Adrian Garcia Bogliano. And it's called Cold Sweat. Bogliano is known for Here Comes the Devil. That's probably his most popular film that came out in like 2012. This came out a year before that. And I'm a fan of this guy's work after watching Cold Sweat. Because he's a fan of the stuff that I love, like the 70s stuff. Especially Sorcerer. This is a horror version of Sorcerer, in a sense. It's totally unique, though, and innovative. I'll give a little bit of the backdrop here. For my history folks out there, you know I'm a history guy. Argentina, 1975, There's a giant crackdown by a military junta, which is just a fancy word for a military dictatorship, which is led by a few people, most notably Jorge Rafael Videla, who was able to usurp or they were able to take power from Perón. Who, do you guys know Evita, the movie Evita? Don't cry for me, Argentina. That movie is about this period of Argentina history. It was a brutal history. Perón was a populist, and the military took power from him and started cracking down on socialists, communists, liberals, etc., all that kind of stuff, and started killing them, torturing them, etc. There was a group called the AAA, which is sort of this conglomerate of all the groups on the right, the militaristic groups on the right, and they teamed up under the AAA, and they would capture people, kidnap people, torture people. Tens of thousands of people were disappeared under this regime. It was a horrible regime that America definitely didn't do anything to help. In fact, they did things to hurt. But that's a whole nother story. I wanted to tell you that little backstory because Cold Sweat is all about that. It's in the modern day, but it follows two maniac fascists. Using the word correctly, they were legit military fascists who were part of the intelligence, the secret police from the 70s who were rounding these people up, these kids, young people, dissidents, etc., and torturing them. They're still at it. But obviously, in 2010, in Argentina, things are a little different. There isn't widespread torture. So these guys had to kind of be on the low. They're in their 70s, it looks like, maybe even a little older. They're capturing people. In fact, there's a line, they say they don't even need to capture people anymore because unwitting kids walk into abandoned buildings all the time, or what is it, or walk into the place all the time. They're luring people there with this. I can't even describe how creepy this character is. It really is. They're luring this character, these young girls, to this place with this webcam or this web stream thing, where this like emo kind of kid is talking to girls, and he's typing, and it looks like he's typing, but he's kind of out of it. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but once the girls get there, they learn that this was a trick, essentially, and they're captured by these old men from the old regime who are addicted to psychosexually torturing and physically torturing, and then ultimately killing young women when they don't give them an answer to some unanswerable question. Even when they do get a pretty good answer, they still torture and kill anyway. And that speaks to totalitarian regimes, especially the Soviet regime, where they were torturing people for confessions. They didn't care if people did it or not. They would get people to confess, and then they'd have the piece of paper that showed the people that these people were dissidents, or they were against the state, or whatever it was. It was a mechanism of control, and these guys do it in this film. Now, why is this film like Sorcerer? This film is like Sorcerer because one of the things that this crazed psychopath does is paint these girls' bodies with nitroglycerin. Now, I don't know how accurate all the science is when it comes to nitroglycerin in this movie, but I'm going to talk about it from the movie's perspective. One drop of this stuff explodes. If you rub it, it explodes. It's hypersensitive gel, explosive gel. And he paints this carefully on these young girls' bodies so that they can't move, and they just sit there psychologically and physically tortured until they move and explode. And we get one of these kills in the first 20 minutes, and it is brutal, and visceral. And pretty awesome. I will say it left me unsettled, which when a horror movie can do that, that's a good thing. So there's this whole segment of this film, the middle part of this film, is transporting one of these girls who's painted with nitroglycerin from one end of this apartment to the exit to try to get out. But she has to move on her back and very, very slowly and carefully so that nothing runs, nothing falls off. Little tiny droplets are okay, but if it's like a glob, it'll fucking explode. And so she's carefully being moved with the help of her friends from one place to another. It is an awesome movie. Really cool Spanish language film here from Argentina. I want to say this was the first Argentine film that I had watched, and it was right up my alley because it's got the political backdrop that I'm familiar with. I actually know I've studied that period, Videla's period, quite a bit because I'm interested in dictators. And it's got this just hazy, sweaty atmosphere, clammy, thick atmosphere to it. Everybody's sweating. And that sweat is mixing with the nitroglycerin, and you don't know what's sweat and what's nitroglycerin, and the characters don't. And these guys have a terrible secret that they've been keeping with the girls that they don't end up killing. It is chilling, fucked up, demented, twisted, all of those things. Check out Cold Sweat, one of my highest recommendations from this video, from this live stream. And then I was such a fan of the director Bogliano's Cold Sweat that I looked into his other films. I saw Here Comes the Devil. I couldn't find that streaming. I don't own that on DVD or Blu-ray. So I checked out the only other film of his that I have in my collection. And man, am I glad I did that, because I like this just as much as Cold Sweat, if not even more. Late Phases. Late Phases. Night of the Lone Wolf. Where do I start? Nick D'Amici is in this movie. If you guys have seen Stakeland, you know Nick D'Amici. He's an underground, I'll say like an underground actor, character actor, who is always a very memorable character. He's a very good character actor and is totally convincing and was the best part of Stakeland for sure. But he's in this movie as an a retired veteran, aging veteran who has lost his sight due to trauma from the war. I think I missed most of the pickups. Yet. I'm doing that set that I watched over the last week. Nope, I actually haven't gotten all horror. Thanks for tuning in, though, Shanks. And we're almost done with these. So, this follows an aging, retired Army veteran from Vietnam who has a story to tell about Vietnam, and harrowing and heartbreaking story that we get expositioned at a certain point. Perfectly placed exposition. He's a take-no-shit, very conservative character, unapologetically, and it's very refreshing, if I'm being quite honest with you. This movie came out in 2014, and I thought it was later, but yeah, 2014 makes sense. Ethan Embry is in this, but Nick D'Amici is the reason to watch this film, and it follows him. The beginning of the film, he's brought by his son to a retirement home. Like I said, he's also blind. He was blinded by some traumatic incident from the war and progressive blinding. And he's now mostly totally blind. He's got a dog with him. And he moves into this retirement home, and he's totally unlike everybody else. Everybody is very like chipper and sanguine and jolly, and he's just to the point, straight, if not a little candid and possibly even rude sometimes, but also respectful. And it's a very complex character who just gets more complex as the film goes on, if I'm being honest. Started buffering right when you said something. Sorry. Yeah, no problem, Shanks. I haven't done the pickups yet. They're coming, so you're right in time for those. Right now, I'm going over what I watched over the last week. So, anyway, this movie is incredible. I guess I don't want to say what it's about, even though it's literally it's a werewolf movie. That's what it is. You know it pretty much in the first 10 minutes when he digs a claw out of the wall. Within the first 20 minutes, you see the beast itself. And he doesn't, of course, but he smells it. He's got a great sense of smell. He starts investigating. His instincts kick in. He starts investigating. He goes to the church. He starts talking to people. Starts trying to unfold the mystery. It has a lot in common with The Howling, I gotta be honest. It very much so reminded me of The Howling. You'll know why when you see it. But this film has it's so entertaining. Nick D'Amici's character, you are with from the beginning to the end. He's so interesting, so complex, and so believable. And the last half hour of this film is him on an absolute lone, like it says, lone wolf, no pun intended, on a mission to protect himself and not go out like a coward, the way he sees it. And there's a point at which one of the cops says, one of the cops says to him, elderly people can't defend themselves. And he's got this look in his eye like, oh yeah, okay. We'll see. If you guys aren't going to help me, I will. I'll help myself. And so he's heavily armed because he's a veteran. He's blind, but in America it is legal to carry. If you're legally blind, you could carry a firearm. There's no clause or anything in the First Amendment or the Second Amendment that says you can't. So, you have the right to remain. You have the right to bear arms in this country, no matter what. Very few exceptions. And he exercises that, and he knows how to use them. And boy, does he use them towards the end of this film. It is fantastic. It turns into an action film at the end. Up to that point, it's a very good, slow burn, howling-like thriller that follows a really interesting main character. This is an awesome movie. I will say the werewolf effects could have been shot a little bit better. I think a couple shots are a little goofy. It doesn't take away from it because, giant werewolves running around that used to be little old ladies is funny. And I think the director knows that, and there's this underlying, almost dark humor to this film. And so it all works very well. This is a 4 out of 5. I love this movie. Very glad to own it in the collection. And Nick D'Amici is somebody I'm looking out for now. I want to see all of the stuff he's in. Next up, we have a couple. So I did a little short on this. The other night, I went to go watch, I was in the mood for an anthology film, and I went to go open this. And look what was inside. What Women Want. I did a funny little short on that. So I was real disappointed in that. Rookie mistake. I didn't check this when I picked it up, so that's garbage. So instead, I settled for the other Rusty Cundieff and Darren Scott anthology film. They did Tales from the Hood, Tales from the Hood 2, Tales from the Hood 3, and American Nightmares. This was pretty good. I had a good time with it. Some of the shorts are better than others. Some of the political messaging was supremely heavy-handed and cruel in some ways, but kind of funny. There are, like I said, some good elements of this, some not so good, but all of them are pretty surprising. They have a pretty surprising twist that I didn't see coming. I didn't look into this movie or anything. These guys have always been known for biting social and political satire. There's no exception here. They're definitely doing that and really leaning into when this came out, which was the Trump era. So the first Trump era. And so there's a lot of that. Like I said, some heavy-handed political stuff that's still handled okay. There's one that I'm not huge on. I didn't see what it was trying to say. Most of their short stories have a pertinent message. Going back to Tales from the Hood, there's something there for everybody. The prison system, the domestic abuse in black families or in American families, etc. And this one deals with a couple of them. A few of them, like you would expect. It's got a fun cast. Danny Trejo, Vivica A. Fox, Chris Kattan in a really creepy role. Where he plays this creepy serial killer clown guy. Jay Moore plays this bloviating racist. Brendan Sexton III plays another racist in a different one. Clarence Williams III is also in this. This is not a bad movie, guys. Not the best, but I gave it like a 2.5 out of 5. Definitely entertaining from beginning to end. There's like 5 or 6 shorts in there. It's not bad. Excuse me. We've got the last 2 here. Last night I watched this movie knowing that it was a remake of a Mexican horror film called We Are What We Are. This one, I'm still kind of digesting it. No pun intended. I knew what this film was about going into it. I had heard about it. I had had it spoiled or something. I think if I didn't know that, I would have liked it a little bit more. With that said, it has one of the great endings of last decade, I would argue. The ending is crazy. It's fucked up. It's crazed. It's mad. And it's really good, really entertaining and visceral. And it reminds me of the 70s, frankly. It reminded me of an out-of-pocket ending that would have happened in the 70s. It's not totally out of pocket, but my first instinct was like, oh, they wouldn't do that. That's stupid. And then as I thought about it once the movie ended, I was like, you know what? It's very 70s-like. It's almost off the cuff, out of pocket. I wasn't expecting it. I'll tell you that much. I wasn't expecting the ending. It's excellent. This is a creepy movie, atmospheric, good performances around. Bill Sage could have been better, but I thought he was solid. I thought there could have been a little bit more oomph in his character. The two girls are good. The movie is a slow burn unfolding, but even if I didn't know what was going on, I think I would have picked up on it relatively early. It's got some interesting aspects to it. You know what? Talking about films actually helps me alight on a rating. I gave this a 2.5 last night. I think it deserves a 3. I think it deserves a 3. It's a unique drama that is within a horror setting. You know, totally cult-like evangelical family that is insane and has a family tradition that is, we'll just say, taboo. We Are What We Are. Again, this is a remake, an American remake of a Mexican horror film that I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. If I come across it, I'll check it out. And last but not least, for my week in horror movies, I capped it off last night with Scary Movie 2. Man, it was 1 a.m., and I'm sitting there laughing my ass off, unable to even get sleepy because this movie makes me laugh so much, still to this day. Chris Elliott is a force in this movie. He is a comedic tour de force. And I saw a little clip of him on YouTube Shorts recently where he was talking about how they could just let him do whatever he wanted. The Wayans brothers were like, yo, Chris, you do whatever you want, improv, wing it, no pun intended. And he does so, and it stands out. He is such a quirky character. Everything, all of his facial expressions, his little hand, his body language, everything is just so great. It's such a funny character. And he said, take my strong hand. My favorite part, see, I'm already getting into character. My favorite part is when he's basting the turkey, or preparing the turkey for everybody to eat. And he sticks his little deformed hand in its ass, and he's like, yeah, he's like playing around with it. He goes, usually people like to baste their turkey. I like to give it a nice lick. And he gives it a lick, and he starts licking it, and he's like, oh, and now we go down to the honey, honey, ho, and he's licking the fucking dead turkey's ass. And then he starts having sex with the turkey. I mean, it is just so funny. I may not maybe making it out to be funny, but it is so funny. And my germs, you know, he sticks his hand in the pie and ruins everybody's food. And there's another line. He goes, that's nothing good. He's like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to lick it anyway. He's like, I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm going to lick it anyways. It's just so funny. He's such a great character. Take my strong hand. Can you give me your other hand? Scary Movie 2 still holds up. I saw it in theaters with my pops back in 2001. I was 13 years old. And still holds up remarkably well. Guys, I'm going to run and no, you know what? I'm good. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Attention, all you players and pimps, right now is the place to be. The beginning of Scary Movie 2. It's like Shake Your Ass was playing. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you did, because I would like to do that once a week to kind of keep you guys up to date with what I'm watching and etc. Lucy said, sorry I'm late. The stream didn't work when I clicked off. How much did I miss? The stream didn't work. That's not great news. Is it working now? Is everything working for everyone? I just got through, Lucy, talking about all the movies I watched last week. Remember, you could watch it on the Rebound, too, the archive. And I'm getting ready to jump into those Criterion Blu-rays. But first, I've got a couple packages here that I want to crack open with you guys. Shank said, I have the same triple feature of Scary Movie. My favorite personal is 3. I know it's unpopular, but I love all of them. Yeah, I saw 3 in theaters, too. I don't think it's as good as the first 2. I think the Wayans brothers' writing was much better, frankly. But, 3 is still fun. 4 is still fun. I've never seen 5, I gotta be honest. I wish there was a Blu-ray set with all of them. And I hear the Wayans are coming back to write number 6. So, I don't really have any faith in Hollywood about this much. Maybe 1% faith, so we'll see what happens. But with that said, I hope the stream is going okay. If you guys are new to the channel and want to see more streams like this, hit that thumbs up, the subscribe button if you want to see more. Thumbs up helps with recognition and drawing new people into the live stream. I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's crack this bad boy open. I've been selling off a few DVDs to fund some Blu-rays. Let's see what this is. To be honest, I don't even know if this is a movie. I don't know what this is. Oh, we got some Barbell's protein bars. No, I'm just kidding. They just put it in this box. Finally, I have a copy of what I believe is an out-of-print Criterion. Kua. This is Kiyoshi Kurosawa, his film Cure, which is right up there with Pulse, Kaido. Pulse and Cure are two of my favorite Japanese films of all time, especially in the horror genre. This is not unlike the atmosphere of Seven. I always thought that it was kind of drawing from that sort of aesthetic, the dreary, hopeless aesthetic that Kiyoshi Kurosawa gets well so perfectly. He does it so perfectly. The dread, the isolation, the way he plays with space is unlike any director that I've ever seen. Unparalleled. And this is one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. This is such an underrated movie. If it was an American movie, it would be better known. I will say. But Kurosawa directs the hell out of this. It's got so many chilling, dry moments that just make you feel so much, while the characters in this film feel so little. And it's a tremendous movie. Like I said, I saw that the Criterion Blu-ray was out of print, or it was going for like $35-40. I can't do that. So I ended up getting this for like $12 or so. And yes, I did have a DVD that I sold off. But I finally own this film on Blu-ray. So happy to have this on Blu-ray. I can't wait to watch it on Blu-ray. Cure. Check it out, guys. One of the best films ever made. All right. Next up. Yeah, I believe that's me. Cool G-Rap. Light up the mic for the symphony. Next up, another film that I've been wanting to rewatch. I pull out the DVD and I say to myself, you know, the Blu-ray's only $6. I got this for $6, brand new, shipped. I bid on it. It was like a penny. The shipping was $5.50. The tax was 50 cents. It came to $6. It's brand new. And so I got to trade it's not brand new. I thought it was brand new. Okay, I was mistaken, and to be honest with you, there's a big issue with this now that I'm seeing it. It wasn't packed very well, and take a look at what happened with the case. Look at that. It broke, and it completely broke off. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I bought this on eBay. This doesn't happen often, if I'm being honest. I have replacement Blu-ray cases, so I am going to take pictures of this and send it to the seller and see if they could... Honestly, I'm going to see if they could refund me, because that is pretty unacceptable. You got to put cardboard. You know, you can't just put it in a bubble wrapper. You got to put cardboard on both sides. Even just a little piece will help. But, with that said, we have Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt is an animated film, a biblical epic, which I enjoy. This is the only animated one that I know of. I think Ben-Hur had an animated one too. But this is a Disney-adjacent film. This was early DreamWorks, around the time where they were doing Ants, etc., films like that. I loved Prince of Egypt back in the day. I thought it was just as good as the Disney flicks that were being put out. One that I definitely want to check out. I'm not sure if this film could be made today. Maybe soon. I think we're getting back to a point where people could make any types of film again. But I think that is coming within the next 5 to 10 years. But Prince of Egypt, I definitely want to rewatch. It's been a long time. I am bummed out. I mean, this case is destroyed, guys. Luckily, the artwork is mostly intact. So I'm going to pester the seller and say, hey, partial refund at least. I expect at least a couple dollars back for that. All right, guys. So next up. These, I'm not going to have too much to say for most of them, because if I'm being honest, I haven't seen most of them. The ones I have seen, I'll talk about. But here we have the Criterion stuff. I think I picked up 12 or 13 movies. Now, Nicholas Roeg is a filmmaker that I do love. I do like, I should say. I love Don't Look Back or Don't Look Now. Sorry, I was looking at the disc here. It almost has like a little bit of, you see that? I don't want to say disc rot, but let me see if this one has it. Yeah, that one doesn't have it. It's okay. I'll give it a test later and see if it works. It should. Anyway, it's called Walkabout. Guys, I don't know much about this. Young sister and brother are abandoned in the harsh Australian outback and must learn to cope in the natural world without their usual comforts. So another one of those ripped from society and thrown into the wilderness movies. Hypnotic masterpiece. Along the way, they meet an aborigine on his walkabout, a rite of passage in which adolescent boys are initiated into manhood by journeying into the wilderness alone. This sounds great. 1971, Nicholas Rogue. So I'm glad to add this to the collection. I didn't know much about this, but honestly, that cover really intrigued me. Beautiful minimalistic cover here, very evocative. And Nicholas Rogue, I know I enjoy Don't Look Now, so figured I'd give this a shot. And guys, I'll just say it. I got these for $5 a piece. And with my consignment deal, I had a bunch of money from the movies I sold, so I got these all for $5 a piece on my essentially store credit. And thank you so much to Billy. Eternally grateful. Here we have another one that I haven't seen by Paul Thomas Anderson, one of the few of his I have yet to see. It's Punch Drunk Love. This is a romance comedy, drama. Not necessarily the type of film I would go after, but this is PTA. PTA makes good films in any of the genres he dabbles with. And I know Adam Sandler's in this in one of his early dramatic roles, and I hear he does a great job. So I really do want to check this out, and I plan to at some point. Now that I have the Criterion Blu-ray, I have no excuse. Here we have some new wave French stuff here, guys. 1959, Francois Truffaut, The 400 Blows. This is a straight drama about some Parisian youths that are getting into trouble, and, you know, it says aloof parents, oppressive teachers, petty crime. These kids sort of navigating the Parisian streets. Don't know much about it, but hey, you know what? I need to watch more French New Wave, because I've yet to find one that really thrilled me, if I'm being honest. Breathless didn't do too much for me, despite, you know, owning it. But I do want to give French New Wave another shot. What do you guys think? 400 Blows a good one? I hope so. I was so happy to add this, because I had thought I had this in the collection, and then I double-checked, and I didn't. So the last one I need out of this trilogy is The Devil's Backbone. But honestly, I got Pan's Labyrinth and Kronos, which are my two favorite ones out of that trilogy. Trilogia. And here we have Kronos, this entomological horror film. So a horror film with insects, but it's not what you think. It's not like insects are attacking or taking over. It's just insects are almost a deus ex machina for the plot and for one of the plot mechanics, we'll say, in this film. And it's a vampirical kind of story. There's a lot going on in this film, and it's very obscure. And it's very unique. There's not many movies like this that take vampire lore and blend it with entomology and create something very unique. It's very Del Toro. Del Toro's always had a thing for insects, and as do I. And so any movies that kind of play into that in a smart way, like this one does, I think it's wonderful. Great performances great performances by all that are involved here. It's about the seductiveness, the attractiveness of immortality, and yeah, it's a great flick. Dare I say vampire flick? It's hard for me to say that, but it's close. Let's see. Yes, it was buffering a bit, but now it's fine. Okay, weird. Don't have any release by Criterion Collection yet, but I have ordered their release of Buck and the Preacher. Oh, nice. And some other stuff from iMusic. Oh, new, nice. I didn't know they did Buck and the Preacher. Is that the Sidney Poitier film? Here we have a film that, I gotta be honest, reminds me of the French writer Voltaire, his novel Candide. The cover reminds me of Candide. Sort of, it encapsulates the chaos of the majority of that book and the sort of rollicking adventure aspect of that book, Candide, which is a great book, by the way. You could read it in an afternoon. It's a fantastic action adventure. You'll love it. Very darkly satirical and humorous. I'm wondering if Renoir here was pulling anything from Voltaire. I'm not sure. It might say on the back, for all the hell I know. Tumultuous, it was subject to cut after the violent response of the premiere audience. That version is presented here. Oh, cool. So it has, wow, okay, so it was edited heavily in 39 and then reconstructed for 59. So it has the original cut and the 39 censored cut. Comedy of manners at a weekend at a Marquis country chateau lays bare some ugly truths about a group of hot bourgeois acquaintances. Yeah, so it doesn't sound like Voltaire's Candide, but kind of looks like it. So, rules of the game. Again, French film from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s is not something I'm very familiar with, so I picked it up for that reason. Another French filmmaker, Jean Renoir. More French stuff. Another one by, this one's by filmmaker Jean-Pierre Melville. That's Les Samouraïs. Now, Les Samouraïs is a hitman film, a contract killer. 1967, supposed to be super cool and suave and stylistic, this film. And it says, sharp cocktail of 40s American gangster cinema and 60s French pop culture with a liberal dose of Japanese lone warrior mythology, which is where the word samurai comes from. So, hitman movie from France from the 60s. Yes, sir. Sign me up. Have yet to see it. I actually am able to sell my DVD, my Criterion DVD, at the game shop and make my money back on that one. So here we have Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Check that out, guys. This is another Terry Gilliam film added to the Criterion collection here. A lot of his films are on the Criterion collection, and this one's no exception. Again, I had a Blu-ray, so I'm going to bring that to the store. I know we'll be able to sell that at the store. And a lot of people love this film. It's a pretty popular film these days. And which is the reason why I was holding off on the Criterion. Hey, I stumbled upon it. I got it for cheap. Now's the right time. So, good cast, Benicio del Toro and Johnny Depp, sort of on a wacky, wild, hallucinogenic trip through Las Vegas, and lots of drugs. Hunter S. Thompson, the famous story by Hunter S. Thompson, with him and his buddy going to Las Vegas and taking all the drugs in the world. I do want to rewatch this one. It's been some time. Next up, we have Paris, Texas. I thought I picked this up at some point. I got to double check. Maybe I didn't. Lucy said, I really like Fear and Loathing. Yeah, it's a really good one. I remember giving it a 3.5 out of 5 the first time I saw it. It's been a while, so I do want to rewatch it. I like Where the Buffalo Roam better, frankly. I thought that was a better film with Bill Murray as Hunter S. Thompson. I thought he was a better Hunter S. Thompson than Johnny Depp, that's for sure. But the filmmaking and everything I like probably more in Fear and Loathing, but the story that's told, the character, I thought was excellent in Where the Buffalo Roam. Check that one out if you haven't. Here we have a film that I'm not sure is going to be my type of thing. It's a Wim Wenders film, and I've not seen anything by Wim Wenders, so I guess I can't really say if it's my type of thing. American Southwest, you have Sam Shepard writing this one. You have Harry Dean Stanton. This is really one of his big films. A lot of, a lot of film cinephiles love this film, and I don't know why. Came out in 1984. I would like to give it a shot, and that's why I picked it up. Paris, Texas. I got to double check, make sure I don't have that. Here's a movie that makes me laugh just thinking about it. I definitely want to rewatch this because this has one of the most laugh out loud, best comedic endings of any of the Wes Anderson films. One of the best moments, I think, that involves Steve Zissou here. Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou by Wes Anderson. Really liked this movie the first time around. I know I missed some things because I was young, but what I didn't miss is that incredibly funny and ironic and ridiculous and surreal ending in ways. And the way that he shoots his movies is just such a gallery of aspect ratios and quirky characters and unique camera angles. And Life Aquatic is no exception. I want to check this one out. It's been a long time. Here we have one of the progenitors of movies within movies, like Living in Oblivion, and I talked about this on a live stream the other night, but I thought I'd show it real quick. 8.5 by Federico Fellini, Italian filmmaker from '63, who's making a movie about a guy making a movie. It's really that simple. Yet to see it, but I know Scorsese is a fan of this one. I think Tarantino is a fan. A lot of filmmakers are. Here we have The Last Emperor. Again, Bernardo Bertolucci, another Italian filmmaker here. 1987, epic film here that takes place. I don't know much about this. Emperor Puyi, who took the throne in 1908 at the age of 3. So there you go. It's the Qing Dynasty. Recreating the Qing Dynasty. Yep, Qing Dynasty, I'm right. My history is sound. Forbidden City, okay, 1908. This is a few years. This is heavy political upheaval in China around this time. 1911 is when the revolution happens, when the first revolution happens, and of the 20th century in China. Taking power from the Empress at the time, or Emperor at the time. It was Empress, I believe. Yeah, getting some of my details wrong. Anyway, here we have a David Lynch film, of which I have seen once, and I have no idea what I watched. I think I enjoyed it. I'm not sure. I have to watch it again to verify that. That is Mulholland Drive. Oh, that's so weird, Shanks, that you mentioned Lynch, because there you go. David Lynch really liked Fellini's style. Makes me want to check out Fellini's film, since I really like Lynch's. Yes. That's an interesting connection there. Speak of the devil, exactly. David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, one of his more popular films, and a film that everybody loves except for me. I liked it. I just have no clue what was happening or what I was supposed to feel. And I get it. That's what you're supposed to feel in a David Lynch movie. But I need a little bit more grounding to the story. I need something to ground me, a little bit. And I can't get this closed. There we are. Sorry, guys. That's why I like, I like Eraserhead. I think it's a little clear. It's a little open for interpretation. It's not as wacky. It is wacky. Don't get me wrong. I love wacky. But wacky with a little bit of coherence is what I look for. And Mulholland Drive the first time around didn't bring that for me. But I do plan to check that out again. It's a long film. I remember loving the music by Badalamenti. I want to check that out again. So I'm selling off my 4K of Some Like It Hot, which I found, I don't know, at a thrift shop one day. And I've got the Blu-ray Criterion, which I am content with. I don't need the 4K. It's worth $25. I'll make that money back. No problemo. Gosh, she was beautiful, huh? Is that Marilyn Monroe, right? Yeah, this is her big one. I've yet to see it. I don't know anything about it. I know it's a comedy, kind of almost a satire on Hollywood, from what I understand. So I do want to check this one out at some point, but I haven't yet. Very interesting, Shanks. Yeah, I like most of his films. I just don't love them. That's all. Twin Peaks Fire With Me, I do want to watch again. It's been a long time since I watched Twin Peaks. I love the original Twin Peaks. And yes, Eraserhead is one of my favorites. Or is my favorite of his films. All right, and we have two more here. I just spoke about this, Godard. We have Breathless. Godard is a filmmaker that I don't think I've seen anything by. Jean-Luc Godard. I know all these French filmmakers' names, but I haven't seen many other films. This one I have. Years ago, I watched Breathless based on a friend's recommendation, and honestly, it wasn't really my style of film. I picked this up because I got a good deal on it. I want to give it another try. It was just a kind of slice-of-life movie about a young French couple who go around, causing some havoc, but not that much havoc. Anything goes crime narrative. Yeah, it is that. It's jazzy, freeform, sexy homage to American film genres. Sure, all of that. Part of the French New Wave, a film that I couldn't really get on the same wavelength with the first time around. I hope that changes the second time. And last, but hopefully, most certainly not least, I've heard such great things about this trilogy of films that I would be surprised if I don't enjoy them. The Apu trilogy. I had a buddy back in the day that loved these films, that always recommended them to me, and said that they were amongst his favorites. It's an Indian filmmaker. They're in Bengali, the Bengali language. It follows, I think it follows the same character. One indelible character, a free-spirited child in rural Bengal who matures into an adolescent urban student, and finally a sensitive man of the world. So it follows a kid. It sounds almost like Moonlight. It follows a kid, and then his adolescence, and then his older age, or his, as grown up as a man. And just, I guess, the eyes, through his eyes. I think this takes place in the early years of... it's shot in 55 to 59, but I want to say it takes place in the early 1900s. I'm not exactly sure. So I do plan to check this out at some point. And again, thank you so much to my buddy and my boss, Billy, the owner of the game shop. He hooked me up. I got this for $7. Can't go wrong. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Today's my only day off. I have one day off a week. Today is it. But I wanted to tune in and give you guys a nice long live stream so you guys can enjoy it. Feel free to check it out on the rebound if you couldn't catch the whole thing. If you're new to the channel and want to see more live streams, hit the subscribe and the little bell for notifications to be notified as to when I go live, which is once or twice a week, at least once a week these days. And I'm trying to get 2 in. And I plan to do one tomorrow night. Actually, I might not be able to do one tomorrow night. I'm hanging out with the family, so it might be difficult to do tomorrow. But definitely at some point this week, if not next week, I'll see you guys again. We're going to get back to the horror Blu-ray collection as soon as possible. And, hey, Adam, what's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Yes, you did just miss it. I just did an hour and a half talking about movies. So talking about movies I've been watching because I got into the horror mood. What's going on, man? And I just talked about 15 Criterion Blu-rays that I just picked up. So feel free to check it on the rebound. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I will see you all very soon. Feel free to give it a thumbs up, which helps me with the algorithms. I only got 1 thumb up today. That's completely unacceptable. I'm just kidding. If I could get a couple more, that would be great. If not, I'm over it. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys very much. Shank says, looking forward to the horror collection. Sounds good. We're going to get back to that soon. And hit that thumbs up, and I will see you all next time. Thank you very, very much. Bored Cyborg is out. Peace.